let's look ahead, guys. And obviously, this is not assuming anything, but if the Wizards were to win either Game 5, Game 6, or Game 7, they'd advance to the second round for the first time since 2005, where they would meet either the Indiana Pacers, the top seed, who have been struggling, and trail the 8th-seeded Atlanta Hawks now 3-2, going back. That series goes back to Atlanta on Thursday night for Game 6. Brandon, talk about the matchups between the Pacers and the Wizards and the Hawks and the Wizards, and which one, I mean, I assume it's the Hawks, but which one works out better for the Wizards?
I mean, the
On
Wizards
paper.
are a better team than the Hawks. The question is, 2 weeks ago when we were talking, we were saying the Bulls are going to kill the Wizards. So it's kind of the tables have shifted, and the Wizards are kind of the favorites. So you wonder, is that urgency, desperation still going to be there going up against the Hawks because you think, oh, we can beat this team. So I think they match up better with the Hawks on paper, even though the Hawks probably play a bit more up-tempo than the Pacers, which is what the Wizards like. But, I mean, the way Roy Hibbert's playing with Indiana, like I feel like Nene and Gortat could just feast on him down low. So, honestly, you really couldn't go wrong either way. But that's not to say that, they're just going to roll to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I feel like on paper, the Hawks are slightly better to play against.
Dan,
I
what's
don't know
your
that I agree. I mean, because at this point, the Hawks are the team that is totally handling the Pacers. And what you say about Hibbert, there's something wrong. There's just something wrong.
yeah.
He's not. It doesn't look like the player that we
He's
knew.
a shell of himself.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. They were down by like 30 yesterday, right, against
At home.
Atlanta at home. I mean, I can't imagine a way in which that team suddenly pulls it together at this point.
But
so
if they do, that could be that's the thing. The Hawks don't really have that switch that they can turn on.
Yeah, I mean, you keep saying if they do, but at this point, in like an absolutely crucial game for them at home, finally maybe having a little bit of momentum after winning in Atlanta, and they come out and do that, I just don't think they have it anymore. I think there's something wrong. And obviously the home court advantage you would think would help the Wizards, but they've sort of been a better road team, or at least as good a road team as they have been a home team for much of the year. So I don't know that really plays into it that much either. I think that they'd almost rather have the Pacers.
LeVar, the regular season record, Wizards were 3-1 versus the Hawks, 1-2 versus the Pacers, and were manhandled, averaging less than, or getting outscored by 11 points per game against the Pacers. Does that mean anything in this postseason?
In the postseason, no. I mean, I don't think it means anything. When I look at this potential matchup, assuming that the Wizards are able to advance to the second round, I don't think that they will underestimate either one of these teams that they play, because for what it's worth, I think you can see a sense of resolve with this Wizards team. That's first and foremost. Like, they're playing like they're in the NCAA tournament. That's what's coming to mind when I'm watching how these guys are playing. It's like they're in the NCAA tournament. It's different, and they're playing that way. When I look up matchup-wise, which team would be better for them to play, regardless of circumstances or current way they're playing, it's still a better matchup to play against Atlanta than it is to play against a team like Indiana. Why? Because there's too many dangerous players on that Indiana Pacers team, and if you give a Paul George, if you give some of these guys that are, in my opinion, from top to bottom, a West, if you give these guys the opportunity to find themselves, whichever game that may be, I do think that they're still a dangerous team. When you look at Atlanta, it's a bunch of role players that are running this team.
Sort of like what we talked about the Bulls in a way.
Yeah, I just don't see a definitive superstar go-to player. Millsap was a role player that came to Atlanta. Teague is a very talented, gifted point guard, but still a role player. You don't have a bona fide guy on Atlanta, and right now, if we were debating, I think you could say John Wall is that guy, but you could also say Bradley Beal is that guy, and as Dan mentioned, maybe we're looking for Ariza to slow down, but Ariza is almost like a Robert Horry on steroids in playoffs. Like, there's always that one guy that you're like, how does this guy show up every single game the way that he does? in the playoffs, and that was Robert Horry for a long time. I think Ariza.
You got to pick your poison with the Wizards.
I think Ariza Ariza is a gamer. He's a playoff gamer.
One of the key things about the Hawks, and there was a great write-up in our new blog, Fancy Stats, about how the Hawks are averaging more three-point attempts than free throw attempts. They shoot the three more than any team in the league. And if they're hot, they can beat anybody from out there.
Yeah,
But that's
game
living
series,
it
so
down.
that's a little bit
It goes
different.
by
Like, this is not like a
5
11-6.
Okay,
NCAA
all right.
tournament
So
game,
poo-poo the three-point stat. It's just something to throw out there as a factor with the Hawks because they rely on that a lot, and they've got Korver, one of the best shooters in the league.
I certainly think the Hawks are going to win that series, personally.
I think they may
I don't
pull
think
the
it's over
upset as
just
well.
yet.
We didn't just
Not
jinx
just yet.
anything by talking about potential next matchups.
I
right?
don't believe in jinxes,
All right,
but
good.
it is a tad bit premature. I
It is
will
a
say
day.
that.
We admit that it's premature, but since we do the show weekly, we want to make sure we're on top
There
of
you
things.
go.